That farm monk won't be bothering us anytime soon.
What did you do with him?
Never mind that. Did you find a replacement?
Yeah, I did. His name is Francis. He seems a pretty good fit. But, what's that amulet round your neck?
What, this? I took it from an adventurer coming through the law altar. You know, we just had to take it, so I'll drop it off at the depository later. Don't you worry.
But we don't usually take amulets from adventurers. It's not on our list of barred items.
Listen here, do you want to end up like that farm monk? No, I thought not. I'm the boss.
I'm sorry, Your Highness.
Now, on to the plan. How are we going to stop this Erik leaving Entrana?
Well, to make glass you need sand, so what about asking Mason if he can help?
Mason, are you mad? I don't want to end up like Clarence. Have you seen what's in that sandpit? I'm not going anywhere near that.
Well, the only other thing to try is stop the seaweed washing up, because you need seaweed to make the glass.
Ah, see, this is why you're my favourite. I tell you, keep going like this, and there's a place on the High Council for you. Now, where is the seaweed coming from?
You could try south of Mauritania, also the east coast north of Verok. I did overhear Fritz talking about Fremenic and Prifdinus.
Where?
North of Terranwind.
Ah, got you. Anywhere else?
You could try Zaya, that's quite a big place.
Good, great. Your information is invaluable. I should be on my travels, and again, your work will not go unrewarded.
It all of a sudden feels holier. Strange.
Hi, I'm ErikEntrana, and this is my story so far. I once lived the peaceful life of a monk, until one day I realised I wanted an adventure. After expressing this to the High Monk cursed and banished me to the corner of Entrana and hindered my adventure. Although, against the odds, I unlocked my first chunk, cooked my stew, leaving one task left to finally leave Entrana. Welcome back to ErikEntrana, where today we're going to have a look at crafting in depth on our way to 87 crafting to be able to make the elusive empty light orb. Now, going through the crafting guide, glass is the only crafting I can do on Entrana. This means my XP maxes out at 49 crafting with the bullseye lantern lens. So first things first, let's get 49 crafting. And there is 10 crafting, I can now string bowstrings. Here is 20 crafting, I can now cut sapphires. 30 crafting, I can now make emerald bracelets. And a cheeky genie lamp. Now, I was thinking of putting it on something else. However, I can only craft and it's going on crafting. It will save me half an invent. And there is 340 crafting experience. Thank you very much. 35 crafting. There is 40 crafting. I can now make it into the crafting guild. 45 crafting, 46 crafting, here is 47 crafting, 2 more levels to go, 48 crafting, 1 more level, and there it is, 49 crafting. I can now make bullseye lantern lenses. And with this now unlocked, I have my fastest XP method available to me. And this is what I shall be doing all the way to 87 crafting, and then onto my next chunk roll. However, there is an issue. Let me take you back. While 49 crafting is a milestone number, there's a more important number on the screen. 91,761. Let me explain. My current level 49 is right down here where I need to be at 87, which is all the way at 3,972,294 experience. Now, to put that into context, lantern lenses give me 55 experience each. Making the molten glass also gives a slight 20 experience. Now, what does that mean for me? Well, with molten glass providing 20 experience and lantern lenses provided 55 experience, that gives me 75 experience per lantern lens crafted. With my XP goal of 3,972,294 and my current XP of 91,761, this leaves me with 3,888,533 experience to go. This figure, along with my 75 experience per lantern lens, means I will have to craft 51,741 lantern lenses, which means I need to figure out the quickest way to make these lenses in Entrana. So, first things first, I need a baseline experience rate which I can try and beat. I have put an hour on the clock. I will start on the same seaweed patch as I will for each of these methods. At the end, I will see what experience rate per hour is the best and continue with that method all the way to my goal of 87 crafting. The first method is very relaxed. It's got 13 buckets and collecting 13 bits of seaweed. So it starts with collecting 8 bits, world hopping, collecting a further 5, walking over to the sand pit. Once 13 buckets have been filled with sand, go over to the little house just north of the sand pit. Inside this house, I will use the range to cook the seaweed, which will provide me with 13 soda ash, with no cooking experience unfortunately. After the soda ash has been cooked, it's walking over to the furnace to create 13 molten glass. With the 13 molten glass in the inventory, I will create my lantern lenses while walking back to the initial seaweed patch, and rinse and repeat. This method grants 975 XP per trip. So let's see how we get on over the hour. Just coming up to 15 minutes left of this 1 hour, and it's been really chill. There's been no random events or nothing to distract me, so it should give me a good idea of how much XP per hour. This method also includes a little bit of downtime from walking to collect the seaweed to making the buckets and vice versa when doing the lantern lenses, so there's a little bit of chill time in there. Less than a minute to go. I don't think I'll get any more experience in this run, so let's have a quick look at the experience we gained. So that's 13.7k XP gained, 14.2k per hour. As I was so close to completing another batch, I am going to say on average 14k per hour. So in total, that means I will be doing this for 277 hours to get to 87 crafting. Now we have the benchmark, let's try another method. Method 2 is now set up, so I've got rid of all the buckets in my invent, I've left them all with the tall leprechaun, and this method includes a full invent of seaweed. That includes world hopping 4 times to get a full invent. After collecting a full invent of seaweed, we head over to the range in the monk's house. This will be the longest downtime of this method at 1 minute and 5 seconds to do a whole invent of seaweed. After the seaweed is cooked, this is where the juggling starts. So I will be dropping 14 soda ash on the floor, then picking up 14 buckets from the tall leprechaun, using them buckets on the sandpit, then going over and making 14 molten glass. Once 14 molten glass has been made, I will drop them next to the soda ash on the floor. I will then pick up the soda ash, fill another 14 buckets of sand, and get another 14 molten glass. Once the second batch of molten glass is complete, I will then go and drop my buckets to the tall leprechaun, pick up the other 40 molten glass to give myself 28 molten glass in my invent. I will then head over to the monk's house, drop 1 molten glass, pick up the glass blowing pipe, create 1 lens, drop the lens, pick up the other molten glass, and then make all the other lenses while walking back over to start the process all over again. This method was actually recommended by Alex Wells 3031 and Delete Club. Thank you for these recommendations because I did not think of them. And we're coming up to being half an hour into this method, and I've got to say the cooking of the seaweed is the most relaxing part of this, where you can be AFK for a whole minute. I thought the juggling was going to be a little bit more difficult and onerous than it was. However, I do actually find this method quite relaxing. Let's hope that it's better XP than the other one. And that's just under 15 minutes to go. And again, I think I prefer this method to the other one just for the sheer minute you get AFK when you're cooking a seaweed. Helps so much. And with just under a minute left, I'm intrigued to see what the XP rates are going to be for this hour, as I've actually enjoyed this more than I thought I would. And with the timer done, the moment of truth. And it's 15.7k gained, 14.9k per hour. I think the per hour is going to shoot up in a minute just as I make some molten glass. But I'm going to go the same as the last one, right in between, and call it 15.4k experience. This gives us a completion time of 252 hours. That is a whole 25 hours less than method 1. That for me gets the green light, and now onto the third method. And now we're set up for our final trial, which is recommended by It's James with loads of Z's. Now this trial is to find out if the optimal amount of buckets to seaweed is better than a whole inventor seaweed. The bonus of this method is with the 28 inventory slots you can have 9 buckets and 18 seaweed, which leaves you a space for your glass blowing pipe, which eliminates the need to juggle items. Now again, like the other trials, I started on the same seaweed patch. This one involves 3 well tops, which is 1 more than trial 1 and 1 less than trial 2. After collecting 18 seaweeds, it's through to the other side of the island to cook the seaweed. Once the seaweed has been cooked and we've got the soda ash, it is over to fill the 9 buckets of sand. Then it is over to the furnace to make 9 molten glass. Back to the sandpit to get another 9 buckets of sand. Then on to make the remaining 9 molten glass. Once the molten glass is made, it is to return to the other side of the island while glass blowing the lantern lenses. Then it's back to the seaweed and rinse and repeat for the hour. I'll check back in after 30 minutes. And that's me coming up to 30 minutes now, and I'm not 100% convinced by this method. I think the XP rates will be okay, but there's not as much downtime as method 2 and it's not as chill as method 1. So it's basically around the 9 buckets and 9 molten glass of this little section here, which is a little bit run back and forth, having to pay attention. But if it gives good XP rates, I'll be using it. Coming up to 15 minutes left for trial number 3, and my clicks have been awful, so I will take that into consideration when working out the XP rates. Overall though, I'm getting a little bit more used to this method, and I am getting a little bit quicker, and the whole bucket issue isn't so much of an issue anymore. And coming up to the end of this hour trial, and I am actually quite looking forward to seeing what the XP is, as it was by the end of it very relaxing. And with that, let's have a quick look at what it says. And we have gained 14.8k, and it is coming out to 15.6k per hour. So before I was taking the XP earn and the XP per hour and taking something in the middle, but due to some terrible clicking on my behalf, I'll be using the XP per hour, and that means this method will get me to 87 crafting in 248 hours, which in the grand scheme of things is 4 hours quicker than method 2 and 29 hours quicker than method 1. So I think we found ourselves our winner. And that means straight back to the grind. And that's 50 crafting, 55 crafting, and 60 crafting. The obligatory 69 crafting. Nice. And to finish the levels for this video, there is 70 crafting. Only 17 levels until my next chunk unlock. There's just one more thing. This is for Steve K1225. Thank you all for watching and stay tuned for episode 4, where I will hopefully be unlocking my next chunk.
I've been everywhere, noob, I've been everywhere. Right, first place on the list, Mauritania. And there's no seaweed. What is going on? Maybe it's just this one. Let's try somewhere else. And just north of Erik. And again, no seaweed. Getting a little bit suspicious now. That monk better not be lying to me. First bit of seaweed. Here we go. Let's just do a quick spell to get rid of this. Right, on to the next. And this doesn't look too promising either. I tell you, if Zaya has no seaweed, that monk better start running.
Another day, crafting.
Erik! Psst! Erik!
Huh? Where did that come from?
Up here, quick!
One of the monks? Okay.
Erik, we don't have much time. You've got to listen to me.
Sure. What's the panic?
It's the High Monk. I'm sure he's evil.
Yeah, of course he's evil. He cursed me, in case you forgot.
I know, Erik, I'm sorry, but this is much more than that. It's hard to explain, but when he left the island, it felt holier again.
I do get where you're coming from, but why the rush?
Well, he's got a vendetta against you leaving the island, and he didn't want to block the sand off to you. So now he's trying to stop the seaweed coming in. And I've kind of sent him all the way round Gillinor, so he doesn't get to seaweed, so you can actually escape and figure out what's going on.
So wait, you're expecting me to figure out what's going on against the evil monk that's pretty much trying to kill me?
I am sorry, Erik, but you're our only hope.